Good morning, students. Today we are starting our unit 1, which is system design. Welcome to 8th semester. Now, what is system and what is system design? Let us understand first, and hope you are keeping yourself safe and sound. Now, let us see what is system and how to design a system to get the maximum output in terms of productivity, profitability, and everything. This subject involves entrepreneurship and management concept. So we are starting with management concepts, that is the system. This is the system of a management, how management, uh, you know, how management devise a plan or verticals, horizontals to progress and to integrate the productivity involved against the set target or taken targets. So let us understand first what is system. System is basically, it is interconnected and interrelated group of components which has a common goal or an objective. So this organization, have many subsystems like departments, programs, divisions, teams, etc. Each one of these subsystems has many ways of performing it, and along with their subsystem, obviously. Now, to achieve the overall goals of the organization, yeah, set targets of the organization, oftenly these systems and the processes which are already defined using the plans, policies, and procedures. Now, let us understand this example. Now, this is an example has several boundaries involved in it, and the outermost boundary carries the environment. Inside that, we have a system. So that we can understand, we have also seen in the subject thermodynamics what is system and what is surrounding. So, what is system? जिसके अंदर सब कुछ हो और उस सिस्टम की बाउंड्री के बाहर जो भी हो रहा है, दैट इज एन एनवायरनमेंट. और उस सिस्टम में भी देयर आर सेवरल सब सिस्टम्स लाइक इन अ बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. The customers sometimes comes inside the environment, and beyond the customers there is another boundary, and inside the company shelter we can treat anything as a system, like a plant shed as a system that we need to consider. Like in our college, if we consider our college as a system, we have several subsystems in the form of departments like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, IT, EX, EC, and many other fields are there. So these are subsystems. Along with that, there are many other subsystems like accounts department, finance department, admin department, HR department. So there are many subsystems to constitute a one system, which we are discussing. And outside that boundary is called environment. Why we are studying system and environment? We have already studied the similar things in thermodynamics also, but here we are studying that in the context of business environment. So there would be exchange of certain inputs and outputs between the environment and the system. So we are here discussing about the business organization. Okay, so moving ahead, this world outside the system is called environment. So as we have already discussed, the system can be viewed as a subsystem of the environment. Yes, for an example, business organization is a system whose function is within the contours of the environment, which is known as the society. From this perspective, the system perspective, we could easily understand that focus is on what? Efficiency and effectiveness in each part of the system, with the understanding that actions taken in one part of the organization will definitely affect the other part of the organization. Now, for an example, if we need to implement a strategy in the production department of a company, will likely affect the other aspects of the companies as well. Which are the other? The others are marketing, finance, personnel, that is HR department. Okay, so now each part is tightly linked within the organization as the organizational part. So no single part of organization exists or operate, okay, in isolation with others. Now, thus, in their day-to-day activities, if we consider daily activities, managers must view the organization as the dynamic. It is very dynamic in day-to-day life. In in again, if we see in mechanical engineering inside the manufacturing industry, if we see there are three shifts. Each shift consists of 8 hours. So 8 into 3, it's 24 hours. That is a day. So every shift has its own challenges, and it has its own dynamics involved in it. And morning dynamics is different, noon shift dynamics is different, and similarly with the night shift dynamics are different. So the approach also views the organization as the linked to the external environment. Now the organizational effectiveness, even sometimes effectiveness work for the survival, that depends upon the interaction with the environment. Now here, when we talk about survival, we would be discussing about the customers and competitors as well, because here the सर्वाइवल हमको कौन देगा? सर्वाइवल जब हमको कस्टमर ज्यादा चुनेगा तो हमको सर्वाइवल देगा. सर्वाइवल जब हम अपने कॉम्पिटिटर पे एक एज रख पाएंगे, एक्स्ट्रा एज रख पाएंगे, तब हमको सर्वाइवल के चांसेस बढ़ेंगे. सो समटाइम्स इट हैपेंस if there is a market like cutthroat competition is there, like nowadays market is very tough and very low, companies are operating at very low margins. So they are keen to get into the volume business. So that is called the survival market or survival environment. So this can be the effectiveness of organization if market strategy is different, or say survival market is not there, then we can even increase our profit margins as well. So there the meaning of the effectiveness may change. Now this now this in this way the enterprise receives the inputs from the environment and transforms it inside the system and revert back to the outside, that is the external environment as output. So here, as I told you earlier, here there is an exchange between input and output, between the environment and the surrounding. So we took input from the environment and processed within the system and given back an output to the surrounding or environment. So here there is an exchange. Okay, so moving ahead, any business or any type of organization must be described as an open system model that includes the interaction between the enterprise and external environment. Yes, we too studied this in thermodynamics. When there is a exchange between mass and heat, then this is called open system or closed system की. और आइसोलेशन सिस्टम क्या होता है, हम ये तीनों सिस्टम थर्मोडायनेमिक्स में भी पढ़ चुके हैं. Here also we have two types of system, that is open system and closed system. Definitely we'll cover it up in the later stage. Now let us look into the look into the next slide. Oh yeah, this is characteristics of the system. Now what are the characteristics of the system? So there are certain characteristics which are present in every system or many types of system. In general, it is organization, next is it is interaction, and third one is interdependence, fourth is integration, and last is central objective. So what is organization? First of all, we need to understand it detail. Okay, now the organization, it gives a clear picture about the structure and the order. Now it is the arrangement of component that really helps to achieve the overall objective or goals of an organization. See, if you want to perform or achieve anything, you need to have certain goals or targets or objectives with you, and to achieve those objective and target, you do each and every exercise for the same. Now, uh, as I told you, organization is all about structure and order. Now, why we need this structure and order? So the reason is we need to have a hierarchical relationships, which starts from the top position of the management or the company to the blue collar worker or the bottommost employee of the organization within the structure involved. Now the interaction, now what is the interaction? This interaction really refers to the procedure. This interaction really refers to the procedure in which every component has to interact with each other. Every component has to interact with each other. Okay, now every component have to interact with each other because every component has a different role to play. Now, in an organization, if you see a purchase department is there, purchase department must have to interact with the sometimes product, sometimes advertising, sometimes sales, sometimes payrolls, sometimes with personal department, sometimes various department used to give some purchase orders to take services from outside or receive some certain products from outside which is directly need. It is not, no, it may happen that these products are directly applicable to the product, maybe like a stationery, may not be directly applicable to product like stationery and other things. So these are the interaction, and we have taken an example of purchase department, how purchase department interacts with other departments as the small components, as a part of component or a part of system. Then what comes next comes is interdependence. Now, what is interdependence? Interdependence, as it clearly talks about the interdependence, एक दूसरे पे जो dependence है. So is this interdependence is again concerned with how a system is tied together. So that small components or subsystem of a system, how they are tied together, how they are working in synchronization, that tells or talks about the interdependence. It is more than sharing a physical part or a location. It means that parts of the system or system part or location within the system even through each part's performance. So it is not, depend upon each part's performance or each component's performance. It is the what is counted. The counting is for the performance as a whole system. If system performs, then we can say as a whole system performs. It's not the performance of a particular component. So the unique function, that is the successful integration, will typically produce a better result or a better request as a whole, rather if each component work independently. As I told you earlier, if one component is performing very nice, it doesn't mean that system will give the output nicely. It is the coordination and cooperation of each and every department. So that was the interdependence is all about. It means how the system is tied themselves or itself together. So that was the interdependence. Then comes the integration. Now the integration shows how well all components or subsystems of the systems are cohesively working together. Now, integration produces a synergy effect, and that synergy effect is responsible for the successful integration. Now, the more will be the synergy effect, the more successful integration would be there inside the organization or the system, what we call. In other words, the whole is greater than the sum of two parts. When proper integration is there, then the effect or synergy effect will be enhanced a lot. Then comes the central objective. The central objective is nothing but, it may be real or stated sometimes on. Normally this central objective is nothing that the goal, the aim, the objective, whatever higher management has taken, that is taken by the higher management, and it is being stated somewhere on the board or the notice board, or sometimes at every document of the organization, because everyone should be aware of it, and everyone should have that thing clicked in their mind while they are about to start their work, or whenever they are doing their work, they must see every time that objective. So what is the objective of the company? For them, they are working. And the user must also be aware. सारी चीजों पे सेंट्रल ऑब्जेक्टिव लिखा होना इसलिए भी जरूरी है कि यूजर मस्ट ऑल्सो बी अवेयर कि इनका सेंट्रल ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है विद इन वेल एडवांस, दैट कैन बी इवन मार्केटेड एज वेल. Now then that comes sometimes we talks about supra system and subsystems. Now every system is composed of many parts, as I told you initially at the initial of the lecture, initial portion of the lecture. Now these parts can be called as subsystems. These are many parts of the main systems, and it is being studied. On the other hand, when the focus is on the subsystem, the main system may also be known as supra system. Then when we consider the subsystems as main system or simply as a system, then our system will become supra system. So will be considered as supra system. So this was the definition. Like in our galaxy, if we consider solar system like ours, therefore the galaxy is known as supra system, and our planet will be a system. For solar system, there are countless, solar system, countless subsystems are there, or countless planets are there. So this way, planet can be are treated here as subsystem and system, and galaxy is treated here as supra system. Now let us move to next slide. What is talked about? Yeah, again, types of system. Let us see what are the types of the system. First of all, the open system. As I told you, we have already discussed we have already studied in thermodynamics what is open system and what is closed system. Here also we have open system and closed system, but with different contexts. Here we are discussing about the business in the form of business organization, how open system and closed system works for the business organization. Now open system is like an open system, continually interacts with the environment. That means there is an exchange of input and output in any form. I mean, in the form of product, in the form of data, whatever you say, it is having certain interactions with the environment. So that is called open system. We have also seen the same in thermodynamics as well. Thermodynamics also has open system as exchange of mass and heat. So it receives input and delivers output to the outside or environment. Okay, now the closed system is what? It is isolated from the environment influences. Okay, so whatever whatever happening outside that doesn't affect our system, then it is called a closed system. Okay, whenever the whatever influences the system, whatever matter which happens outside the system, if it influences the system, then it is called open system simply. Or if it does not influence, then it is called the closed system. Then comes the physical or theological system. So physical system are tangible entities. Tangible means it is counted in the form of numbers or money, or non-tangible means you cannot count it. Tangible means you can count it. It will be realistic, or it should have physical presence. Like good, better, best is kind of a non-tangible. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 is called a tangible one. You can understand that way. That may be static and dynamic in operation. So this is called physical and theological system. Then comes the physical feedback for feedback and feed forward system. So we will definitely understand in detail in the next lecture what is feedback and feed forward system. It is having a little big context with respect to the boundary and interface complexity. So we'll surely cover up in next lecture. It has a certain deep aspect to understand. Then comes the man-machine system. None of the man-machine system consists of man, machine, and the system environment. It is kind of a artificial in nature and development for a particular task to perform, to fulfill, to deliver. Okay, so this was the basic definition of man-machine system. Then comes the last, probabilistic system or deterministic system. Now here what we have to do, we have to calculate the or predict the next stage of the work. So how we can do? So deterministic system is one in which occurrence of all the events is perfectly predictable. If we get the description of the system state at a particular time, then the next stage can be easily predicted. So this way, the probabilistic system and deterministic system works. So this was the mm, today's lecture from my side. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. And also, I'll share you the scheme of this subject.